Hey YouTube, what's up? What's going on out there, everybody? This is Greg from GregsTutoringNYC at gmail.com. I'm chilling out a little bit in Washington Square Park. Got a session in a couple of minutes, so I'm going to do a quickie stream here probably. So it's November, I don't know, it's November 11th. It's Veterans Day, and the SHSAT this year for 2021 is starting on December 2nd, and it's going to continue from the next 2 weeks or so after that for grade 8 and grade 9. So basically it means you guys have 3 to 4 to 5 weeks depending on which category you fall into. So I wish you guys luck. Just here to try to give you a little kind of semi-pep talk. So if you have 3 to 5 weeks, let's say on average you can have a month, you should kind of know where you stand at this point. A lot of you, I think, have taken too many practice tests, and some of you have taken too few practice tests. So what you need to do is try to resync where you're at and start considering a whole bunch of different issues. So there's the math and the ALA, obviously. Remember that a lot of this exam is psychological as well as anything else. So you have to consider that and take that into account no matter what you do, because this ain't nothing like test day, guys. When it's finally test day, your adrenaline is pumped and a whole bunch of different things are going on. So you need to be considering that kind of stuff and figuring out things from there, right? So as well, there's pacing. A lot of you guys probably have not gotten a watch yet, because you should bring a watch you're going to use and practice with and pace yourself so that you use that same watch on test day. All right. There's also test taking skills that you should be starting to figure out. You should be starting to realize what sections you're best in. Right. There's the concept of taking the easy test first. Okay. So if you're better in ELA, then maybe that's where you should start from. Because what you want to do is grok as many points as you can, as quick as you can. I don't know if you guys realize that the majority of students who take the exam, they will not finish on test day. So most of you will not finish your exam on test day. And of those who finish it, they're going to guess at the very end. The last 2 or 3 passages, they might just circle in random bubbles. If you've run out of time, you don't really have a choice of the matter with that. So you don't have a choice, but often you can do better than that, and figure out, kind of where you need to be on those kind of things. So what you should be doing is timing yourself, figuring out how long things are going to take you or not take you, okay, and actually computing it. Figure out how long it takes you to do like two pages facing each other of math. So that might be 6 to 10 problems. You want to figure out how long it takes you to do a passage, right? A passage is normally about 1.5 pages, and there's 6 to 8 questions following it, right? So there's that kind of a consideration. So you want to figure out your time for that. And you have to add in as well, like 10 minutes if you're going to take 1 bathroom break. I wouldn't suggest taking more than that. And the time to bubble in your bubble sheet, that's still 5 minutes, right? So there's things like that. So that's kind of stuff you need to start worrying about and calculating now. And like I was saying a second ago about the sections, so if you're better at ELA, then that might be the section you should start with. Furthermore, if you're better in the revising and editing sections, then maybe you should do them first, okay? But if you're better in the passages, the reading comprehension passages, then maybe you should do those first. Same with the math. There's the grid-ins, right? And there's also the multiple choice section. So you need to make a choice between what you're better at. And even within there, okay, if you do all great and find the angle X things, then do all those first. Just don't slow down as you're doing it. Remember, if you take 10 seconds, only 10 seconds to decide whether to choose a question, you've spent 1,140 seconds, which is 19 minutes, right? 20 minutes is 1/3 of an hour. And if you're taking a 3-hour test, you would have spent 1/9 of the whole test deciding whether to skip questions or not. So you don't have the time to do that. Even if you have accommodations, for those who have an IEP or a 504, you're going to get double time, but that doesn't really help you super duper, right? So you need to figure that out as well, right? I'm going to take a bath here for a second. So that's some of the considerations you need to figure out when you're trying to do your planning, right? It's not just about doing as many math problems as you can and crashing and burning and reading passages till you don't know what's going on anymore. That's not what this test is about. Part of the issue of the test is testing your stamina in addition to the content and the material, right? And we realize too, if you can't get through this exam, most of these SHSAT schools, specialized high schools, they're super hard. There's lots of homework and there's lots of hard classes. So this is kind of a rigor test, if you will, in addition to the content kind of stuff like that, okay? And what you want to do is, now should be the time. A lot of you keep emailing me and sending me message on different services, like, what score should I get for this? What score should I get for that? Don't worry about it. Worry about getting it correct and finishing first. But now is about the line of the sand where you kind of should be estimating where you're at, right? So most of the schools, to get in, you need a 500 or above, okay? And it basically means you're getting at least 33 right in each section. Now, I'm talking about the law of averages because scoring works a little weird, but that's on average, you want to be getting that. But really, to have a shot, to guarantee yourself a shot, at least half the schools, you want to be getting 40 and above in each section, okay? Now, there's other things we can go yin and yang. I'm just trying to make this a general stream right now. I don't want to get into the details of necessarily how scoring works. Scoring is slippery. A lot of you do not understand how scoring works. Even if you can go online and compute your score, you don't know the impact of it. And this year, I am not sure whether there's going to be field questions or not, because they've removed it from all the handbooks this year, including the online description. So I don't know if the way scoring is going to happen is going to change, because there may be no field questions this year. I've asked the DOE multiple times. I've even sent in FOIL requests about it, and they will not answer it. But all I can tell you is it's clearly and unequivocally has been removed from the handbook, okay, and from the website. So there's no longer any mention of field questions, which basically means anything can happen. And it wasn't an accidental removal. Somebody consciously decided to remove it. So we don't know the algorithm for scoring anyway, so you could argue what's the big deal. The big deal is, 10 field questions per section is a lot of questions. And if they no longer exist, then they count now. They count. So before, we could, talking about law of averages, it's raining on me here. Before, we could talk about the law of averages. If there were 10 field questions, the chance of you getting them all correct was not 100%. So there was a balance going on between ones that were scoreable that you got wrong versus ones that were scoreable you got right, versus field questions that were not scoreable that you got right versus wrong. Okay? And you didn't know what they were. There's no way to really determine that. So now if they count, it's going to work against you guys, because there's basically another 7 to 10 questions that didn't really affect your score that now will. And often these cutoff score things come down to 3, 4, 5 questions, right? That what happens is a mob happens at this 500 sweet spot, and it's really from the 500 and above that you can get into a school. All the schools typically range between 500 and 600. Now again, there's no formula, there's no guarantee, but that's normally the way it's gone historically. When you rank the way the questions go and the average number that kids get wrong and kind of things like that, when you add it back in, that's what's going on. So that's the deal. So my advice is kind of get a grip on yourself, guys. You have about a month. You should figure out what you still don't know. Study that like a bandit, and just pace yourself out. Strengthen your strengths, work on your weaknesses, things like that, all right? And then just consider what areas you need to spend the most time in. including pacing yourself, including test-taking skills, right? Especially in the ELA, the concept of tiebreakers, especially in the reading comprehension part, is hard. And the resolution to a tiebreaker is not guessing. A lot of you just take more practice tests, and you're still not figuring out aspects of author's craft, right? What does the main idea really mean? A lot of you don't know what main idea means, and that's why you're not getting those answers right. Or when you start getting some sense, like a lot of you might know it's related to the topic, but you just can't answer all main idea questions as if it's only talking about the topic. That's not going to get you there. So what you might be doing is, you may have gone from 50-50 to some of these questions, half the time getting it right and half the time getting it wrong, to now you're understanding, you know, what does tone mean more? What is the theme? What is the plot? What is the summary? What is organizational, the way the passage is organized and structured? Things like that, right? You're starting to figure it out, but you still don't quite know it. Well, if you still don't quite know it, that means you're still not quite going to get the answers. And this is about a precise test. There's only one answer per every choice, all right? And that's kind of what you need to deal with. So again, I'm Greg from GregsTutoringNYC at gmail.com, from GregsTutoringNYC, of course. I wish you guys all the luck, and if anybody wants to send me any questions, please go ahead, do so. I don't have a problem with it. I answer a lot of your questions. Just remember, only one guy, and of course, if you need tutoring, contact me. There's still time to bump up your score, and in some cases, bump it up significantly. So guys, I have a session in 10 minutes. Peace out.